Hello and welcome to week 4 of my Beachcombing Blanket crochet along. It's lovely to have you here. I'm Eleonora, the designer behind Coastal Crochet, and all the details about this blanket can be found over on my blog. The links are in the description below. I've broken down the tutorials into smaller segments, so if you want help with the entire square then please do follow the tutorials in order. But if it's a particular round that you want help with, then have a look at my YouTube channel because all the tutorials are there in order with the rounds clearly indicated. So have the written pattern ready and I'll show you how to get started. So with round 4, make sure we have the wrong side facing and join yarn D into any corner chain space. And round 4 is a simple round of treble stitches. So we start with 3 chain, which counts as the first treble or US double crochet stitch of this round, and then into the same corner chain space, just like we've started many corners in our square. We do 1 treble US double crochet, 2 chain, and then 2 treble US double crochet, and that forms our first corner. And then it's a simple round of treble US double crochet stitches, and we just do 1 treble US double crochet in each stitch to the end of the side. So I'm just coming to the end of the side. And it's important for me just to show you that this is the last stitch of the side. Because we're working into a round of half treble stitches, half double crochet from the previous round, and we've turned the work, so now we're crocheting with the wrong side facing. The last stitch of the previous round is not always that clear to see, but it is there, and we really need to pay attention to make sure we crochet into the last stitch of each side when we're crocheting into these half treble US half double crochet stitches. So that's the end of the side, and then in the corner we're doing 2 treble US double crochet and then 2 chain and then a further 2 treble US double crochet. So I'm now on the very last stitch of my final side, so there it is, that stitch. Because we've got the wrong side of the work facing, we have to pay attention to crochet into the final stitch of the side. On previous squares where we've had the right side of the work always facing, that stitch is actually at the start of the round, so it's just a little bit different when we're turning the work. And so slip stitch to the top of that first 3 chain to close the round and then fasten off. And so I fastened off, and this is now the end of round 4 with the wrong side facing. And remember, we turn the work, ready to crochet round 5. But before we move on to round 5, just check that you've got the right amount of stitches. So between the corner chain spaces, between those holes, we should have 13 stitches on each side. And at the start of round 5, make sure you have the right side of the work facing you, like so, and join yarn A to any corner chain space. And now round 5 is another round where we're doing some raised stitches. We start the round with 4 chain, and again, just like in round 3, that counts as our first half treble US half double crochet plus 2 chain. So you might want to put a stitch marker in that second chain because that's where we're going to be slip stitching into at the end of the round. And now we work 1 half treble or US half double crochet into the same corner chain space, and we've created our first corner. And now looking at the pattern, it tells us to do 1 half treble or US half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So that's 1 and that's 2. And now looking at the pattern, it says miss the next stitch, so this is the stitch here, we won't be crocheting into that one, and work 1 raised triple treble front, which in the US is the front post double treble, around the right raised stitch below from round 3. So here are the raised stitches from round 3 in the yellow, and it's the right sided stitch, this raised stitch that we did in round 3, that we're going to be going around. So wrap your yarn around the hook 3 times and then insert your hook around the post of that long raised stitch from round 3 and then yarn over, pull through to the front. You will have 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And what we've done is we've extended this raised stitch now going all the way up to round 5. And now it's 1 half treble, US half double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, remembering that we're missing that stitch behind the raised stitch. So you can see we're coming out of that one there, missing the next stitch along. So the next stitch along is the first one we go into. And then it's 3, 1, 2, and 3. And now looking at the pattern, it says miss the next stitch, so we're not going to be crocheting into this one here. Miss the next stitch, and again work 1 raised triple treble front, so that's the front post double treble in the US, around the central stitch below from round 2. So if you remember round 2, that was this darker blue one here, and it's the central stitch from there that we want to go around. So remember at the end of round 2 we had 7 stitches on each side, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's the middle one, so you can see 1, 2, 3 there. This one here is the middle stitch, and if we turn the work to the front, there it is. You can see it's the stitch that sits in the middle of those 2 raised stitches. So that's the stitch we're going to be going around with our raised triple treble. So wrap your yarn around the hook 3 times and then insert your hook around that central stitch from round 2, yarn over, pull through to the front. You have 5 loops on the hook and then complete the triple treble stitch, US double treble as normal. And that's now a raised stitch which sits in the middle of the side. And then it tells us to do 1 half treble, US half double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Again, remembering we're missing this stitch, so we can see we're coming out of that stitch. This is the stitch we missed and we did our raised stitch instead. So now this next one along is where we're going into, and it's 1 half treble, US half double crochet in each of the next 3. That's 2, and that's 3. And now looking at the pattern, it says miss the next stitch, so we won't be crocheting into this one, but instead we're doing 1 raised triple treble front, the front post double treble. So wrap your yarn over the hook 3 times, and it's around the left raised stitch below. So here was the right stitch where we went around. Here we did a central one. Now we're going around the left raised stitch below. So insert your hook around the stem of that left raised stitch below, yarn over, pull round to the front. You'll have your 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now you can see the effect that we're getting. We've got these 2 extended raised stitches now. And looking at the pattern, it now tells us to do 1 half treble or US half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, remembering that we're missing that stitch. So we missed that stitch and did the raised stitch instead. And then there's 2 stitches left to go into, 1 and 2. And then looking at the pattern, it tells us now to do 1 half treble, 2 chain, and then 1 more half treble all into the corner chain space. And there is the first side complete. And so looking at the pattern, it now tells us to repeat from star 3 times, ending final repeat at star star. So go back to where the star is in the pattern, and you'll see it's the start of the side where we're doing 1 half treble in each of the next 2 stitches. Then we're repeating exactly what we've just done on this side, going round on each side. So we're now at star star, so we've repeated everything 3 times. We're at star star, we haven't got the corner to go into, and so now we're doing a slip stitch to the second chain of the beginning 4 chain. Remember, it was the second chain, 1, 2 of that beginning 4 chain that we made. Insert your hook under both strands of that chain and work a slip stitch and fasten off. And that is now what it looks like at the end of round 5. So we should have 15 stitches on each side, and that includes those tall stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then 15, the one in the corner. So we have 15 stitches on each side with the 2 raised stitches going either side of the centre, and then we have a new raised stitch coming up from the centre. So that's the end of round 5, and we'll move on to round 6, remembering that we need to turn the work. And so at the start of round 6, make sure you have the wrong side of the work facing you and join yarn J into any corner chain space. And then round 6, if you look at the pattern, it says repeat round 4. So it's exactly the same as round 4. And so we start it like we've started so many of our rounds throughout this pattern, with 3 chain, which counts as the first treble, US double crochet, and then complete that corner by doing 1 treble, US double crochet, 2 chain, and then 2 further treble, US double crochet, all into that corner chain space. And then it's a simple round of treble US double crochet stitches. But again, because we're crocheting into half treble stitches from the round below, we just need to make sure we're getting the first and the last stitch of each side correct. Now, unlike when the work is facing you, the right side of the work is facing at all times, we have to pay attention to crochet into the first stitch of the side, whereas now, because we've turned the work and we're crocheting on the wrong side of the work, it's actually the last stitch of the side that we need to really pay attention that we're crocheting into. So the first stitch to crochet into when we're crocheting into this round of half treble stitches is actually this one here. So it's quite an obvious stitch, there's no hidden stitch here. The first stitch to crochet into is this one here, and then we do 1 treble US double crochet in each stitch to the end of the side, and then the final stitch to crochet into will be this one here, which just a little bit extends further than the side. And that's because we've turned the work, so now the stitches, they lie slightly to the left of the post of each stitch. When you have the right side of the work facing, the stitches sit just to the right, but when we turn the work, the stitches now sit just to the left. So repeat round 4, 1 treble US double crochet in each stitch around, and in the corners we're working the usual 2 treble US double crochet, 2 chain, and then 2 further treble US double crochet, and repeat this all the way around. So I'm coming up to the very last 2 stitches of the final side of the round. Remember, that's the last stitch to go into. It's not obvious, but if you know it's there, then you know to crochet into it. And then slip stitch to the top of that first 3 chain to close the round, and then fasten off. So I've fastened off, and it's a really good idea just to count those stitches. So at the end of round 6, we should have 19 stitches between the 2 corner chain spaces. So between this space here should be 19 to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and there's the next corner. So really good idea just to keep counting to make sure you've got the right number of stitches. And at the end of round 6, we turn the work. And so remember, I have broken down the tutorials into smaller segments, so the next rounds can be found on the next tutorial. Thanks for watching.